Rain hammers the forest canopy like fists against glass. Every drop finds its way through, soaking the pine needles, turning the earth into a river of mud. Naraya's boots are already ruined, her socks squelching inside leather that was cheap to begin with. The cold bites through her thin jacket, the one she stitched herself because no one thought to give her proper gear. Ahead, shadows move with impossible grace. Kaya Rowan leaps over a fallen log without breaking stride. Rowena Kale shifts her weight mid-step, navigating roots that would snap a human ankle. Merrick Voss barely seems to touch the ground at all. Naraya stumbles. Again, no one turns around. She is the only human in this patrol. The only one whose bones don't heal in hours. The only one who bleeds red and stays down when she falls. The daughter of a dead healer, kept around like an old shovel someone might need someday. They tolerate her because her mother, Mira Varick, once saved the previous Alpha's life. That debt bought Naraya a place on the edge of the territory, a roof that leaks, and work that no wolf wants to do. Copying records, fetching herbs, carrying bandages that warriors rarely need. She is useful, never precious. Someone calls back without looking. Keep up, human. The words sting less than they used to. Naraya learned years ago that wolves don't waste breath on things that don't matter. If they're calling to her at all, it means they haven't completely forgotten she exists. Her mother's voice echoes in her memory, fevered and fading in those final days before the sickness took her. Compassion is the bravest rebellion, Naraya. When fear tells you to turn away, you turn toward. Back then, Naraya was just a girl holding her mother's hand, not understanding. Now she's 23, surrounded by creatures who could kill her with one careless swipe, and she understands perfectly. Every day she stays is a rebellion. Every time she follows them into the dark is a choice. A howl cuts through the rain. It's wrong. Not the coordinated calls of a hunt or the playful yips of young wolves testing their voices. This sound scrapes against every instinct Naraya has. A warning, a cry for help. The warriors freeze mid-stride, their casual arrogance replaced by something sharp and alert. Lightning flickers between the trees, turning everything into a horror show of light and shadow. Someone mutters, "That came from the Alpha's private grounds." The second sound is worse. A child's scream, high and raw, the kind that comes from a throat that doesn't know if it will ever make another sound. Naraya's heart forgets how to beat properly. The warriors move. Bones crack, muscles swell, clothes shred. They become wolves mid-run, massive and deadly, leaving Naraya alone in her fragile human skin. She runs anyway. Her lungs burn. Her legs scream. Every step is a prayer that she won't trip and break her neck before she gets there. The forest blurs. She can't keep up, but she doesn't stop. Her mother's words are a drumbeat in her head. Turn toward, turn toward, turn toward. The clearing opens like a wound in the earth. Lightning strikes close enough to taste metal. The flash reveals everything in brutal detail. A creature that shouldn't exist, twisted, infected. Something that was once a wolf but has been corrupted into a nightmare. Red eyes glow like coals. Foam hisses from jaws that snap at air. 3 warriors in wolf form circle it. Cassian Rook, massive and scarred. Theron Cade, quick as mercury. Kale Varen, the tracker who once told Naraya she was in the way. They're losing. The beast is too fast, too wrong, too hungry. Near a fallen branch, a small figure huddles. A boy, maybe 6 years old, ankle twisted at a bad angle. Silver eyes wide with the kind of terror that rewrites a soul. Naraya recognizes him. She's seen him from a distance at pack gatherings, always surrounded by guards, always precious. Orin Lice, the Alpha King's son, the future of Varen. Archers line the ridge above, silver-tipped arrows nocked, strings drawn back. The arrows glint with something dark and oily. Wolfsbane, iron dust, the only thing that can kill the infected fast. The beast lunges toward Orin. Naraya doesn't think. Thinking is what stops people from doing impossible things. She sprints across the mud, boots sliding, arms outstretched, and throws her body over the boy. She curls around him, making herself a shell, a shield. Her hands lock behind his head. Her voice is barely a whisper against his hair. "I've got you. Don't move. I won't let go." The archers loose their arrows. In the darkness, in the rain, they don't see her. The first arrow punches into her shoulder, and the world becomes pain. "Hey, quick question. How are you feeling right now? Thank you so much for being here. It really means the world to me. I'm working toward 1,000 subscribers. And if this story is already pulling at your heart, please hit that subscribe button for Ariel Romance Library. smash the like, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. It helps more than you know. Alright, thank you. Now let's get back to Naraya and find out what happens when 5 arrows tear through her body and an Alpha King realizes the invisible girl he's been watching from the shadows just changed his entire world. The arrow drives through muscle and scrapes bone. Naraya's vision goes white. Her mouth opens but no sound comes out, just a wheeze, airless and broken. The second arrow slams into her ribs. She feels something crack, something vital, and her lungs forget how to work. The third buries itself in her lower back. Fire spreads through her spine, shooting down her legs. She can't feel her feet anymore. The fourth rakes across her thigh, tearing through cloth and skin. Blood, hot and fast, soaks through her pants. The fifth shatters against her side, lodging deep enough that she can feel the jagged edge grinding against something inside her chest. Oren sobs beneath her, his small body shaking. He's trying to curl into himself, but Naraya holds him tighter. Her hands are slippery with blood, but she doesn't let go. "I've got you," she whispers, voice shredded. "Don't look. Just listen to my voice. I won't move. Not while you're breathing." The beast charges. An explosion of shadow and fury hits the clearing. A massive obsidian wolf, larger than any Naraya has ever seen, collides with the infected creature. The impact sends both tumbling, claws raking, teeth flashing. The fight is brutal and fast. The obsidian wolf moves with precision, each strike calculated, each bite placed to kill. Lucien Draven, Alpha King of Varen, tears the creature apart. When the infected beast finally stops twitching, the forest falls silent, except for the rain. The obsidian wolf shifts, bones realigning, fur receding. A man stands in the clearing, dark hair plastered to his skull, harsh lines carved into his face, eyes like storm-lit steel. He expects to find his son torn apart. Instead, he finds a small human woman crumpled over Oren, arrows jutting from her body like cruel feathers, still whispering promises into the boy's hair. Lucien drops to his knees. His hands move over Oren first, checking for wounds, finding none. Then his gaze locks on Naraya. Her blood is everywhere, on his son, on the ground, on his hands. His face, always stone, always unreadable, cracks. Witnesses will whisper about this moment for years. How the Alpha King, who hasn't shed a tear since his mate died 5 years ago, pressed a shaking palm to the human girl's cheek. How his eyes glossed over. How his voice broke when he choked out her name for the first time. Naraya. She tries to smile. It comes out wrong, bloody. The pup is he. He's safe. Lucien's voice is gravel and broken glass. You saved him. Good. Her eyes flutter. That's good. Stay with me. His thumb brushes her cheekbone. Don't you dare close your eyes. But Naraya's body has other plans. The edges of the world blur. Voices shout orders. Strong hands lift her. Pain explodes fresh with every movement. The last thing she hears is Oren crying for her. The healer's wing smells like blood and antiseptic. Ilara Voss, head healer, barks orders like a general in battle. Arathorn moves with surgical precision, cutting arrow shafts, extracting tips, pressing cloths against wounds that won't stop bleeding. She's human, someone says, panicked. She can't survive this. She will. Lucien's voice cuts through the chaos. He stands in the corner, still covered in gore, refusing to leave. Do whatever it takes. Ilara looks at him, understanding the weight of those words. The law says. I don't care what the law says. Lucien's eyes are flat. Final. Save her. They use werewolf blood. It's forbidden. Humans aren't supposed to receive it, but they pump it into Naraya's veins anyway, hoping the accelerated healing properties will be enough to stitch her back together. For 3 days, Naraya hovers between life and death. She hears snippets. Warriors arguing outside the door. Oren crying, asking when the brave lady will wake up. A low, rough voice near her bed that she doesn't recognize at first. Breathe. Little rebel, don't you dare stop now. When she finally opens her eyes, the world is soft and blurred. Candlelight flickers against stone walls. Her body feels like it's made of broken glass held together by hope. A figure sits in a leather chair beside her bed. Lucien Draven, Alpha King, Lord of Varen, looks nothing like the regal leader she's glimpsed at ceremonies. His shirt is half unbuttoned, stubble shadows his jaw. His eyes are red-rimmed, exhausted. He wakes when she groans, jolting upright like he's been shocked. Naraya. Her name on his lips sounds like a prayer. The pup. Her voice is a rasp. Oren is fine, not a scratch. Lucien leans forward, elbows on his knees, hands clasped tight. Because of you, she tries to sit up. Pain lances through her ribs and she gasps. Lucien's hands are on her shoulders, steadying her, easing her back down. Don't move, you're still healing. How long? 3 days. 3 days. She's been unconscious for 3 days, while the Alpha King sat vigil beside her bed. The absurdity of it makes her dizzy. Lucien's gaze drops to her bandaged shoulder, her wrapped ribs, the visible evidence of what she did. When he looks back at her face, his expression is raw. Why? The word comes out jagged. Why would you do that? Why would you bleed for a pup that isn't yours? The question hangs in the air, heavy with grief and disbelief. Nuria doesn't have to think about the answer. It's the simplest truth she's ever spoken. Because he's a child, and no child should be afraid alone. Lucien's breath catches. For a moment, he looks like a man who's been struck. Then his head drops, shoulders shaking, and Nuria realizes with quiet shock that the Alpha King is crying. The warriors come one by one. Cassian Rook arrives first, the massive enforcer who once told Nuria to stay out of combat zones. He stands in the doorway like he's facing judgment, scarred face unreadable. Then he crosses the room, drops to one knee beside her bed, and presses his fist to his heart. "Heart shield," he says, voice rough. "You shamed us all." Nuria blinks, confused. "I didn't mean... You showed us what courage looks like." He meets her eyes. "Thank you." Kale Varen comes next, the tracker who called her in the way, more times than she can count. He can barely look at her as he kneels, fist to heart. "I was wrong about you." Theron Cade, Rowena Kale, Kaya Rowan. One by one, they come. Warriors who once saw her as a burden, now kneel before her like she's something sacred. Nuria is mortified, overwhelmed. She keeps insisting she just moved without thinking, but they refuse to diminish what she did. On the 4th day, the Pack Council arrives. Malus Vorn, ancient and sharp-eyed, Alden Price, scarred and pragmatic, Saren Vale, who always looked at Nuria with something like pity. Now they look at her with respect. "Nuria Varric," Malus begins, voice carrying the weight of centuries. "The council has deliberated. We cannot let your sacrifice go unnamed." Nuria's stomach twists. "I don't need..." "We resurrect an ancient title," Alden interrupts. "One that hasn't been spoken in half a century. Heart Shield of Varen." The words settle over her like a cloak she didn't ask for. "It means," Saren explains gently, "that you stand between the Pack's heart and all who seek to break it. You are recognized, Nuria. Not as a guest, not as a tool, as one of us." Nuria's throat closes. "I'm human. I'm breakable." Malus smiles, sharp and knowing. "Then you understand the value of every breath. That makes you twice as dangerous to our enemies." Lucien watches from the corner, arms crossed, expression carefully neutral. But when the council leaves and Nuria looks at him, she catches something soft in his eyes. "Did you know they were going to do that?" she asks. "I suggested it." He moves closer, sitting on the edge of her bed, but they agreed without hesitation. "You earned this. I don't know how to be a heart shield. You already are." His hand covers hers, warm and steady. "You've been one since the moment you refused to let go." Over the next week, small things appear in her room. A steaming cup of tea on her bedside table, the exact blend her mother used to make. A stack of books she once lingered over in the Pack library. A quilt in soft, muted tones that match the wildflowers from the meadow where she used to sit alone. She confronts Lucien about it one evening when he brings dinner. "How did you know about the tea?" He sets the tray down, not quite meeting her eyes. "I pay attention." "To me?" "Yes." The admission is quiet, careful. "I have been. For longer than you know." The revelation steals her breath. She thought she was invisible, forgettable, but the Alpha King has been noticing her for years, cataloging her preferences, watching from a distance. "Why didn't you?" "Because I was afraid." Lucien finally looks at her. Of caring, of losing someone again, of feeling anything at all. Before Nuria can respond, a small voice interrupts from the doorway. "Is the brave lady awake?" Oren stands there, clutching a stuffed wolf, shy and uncertain. Naira Hale, his caretaker, hovers behind him. Nuria's heart melts. "Come here, sweetheart." He approaches slowly, eyes wide. "Does it hurt?" "A little," she smiles. "But I'm okay." Oren climbs carefully onto the bed, settling against her uninjured side. His small hand rests over her heart, feeling it beat. You held me, he whispers. When I was scared. I did. No one ever. Naria wraps an arm around him. You're safe now. That's all that matters. Oren falls asleep like that, his breathing evening out, his trust absolute. Lucien watches from the doorway, and the look on his face is something Naria can't name. Grief, hope, longing, all of it tangled together. When the healers finally clear Naria to leave the medical wing, Lucien makes an announcement that shocks everyone. You'll stay in the Alpha residence. Naria stares. I can go back to my... No. His tone brooks no argument. You're still healing. You need to be close to the healers. Close to... He hesitates. Close to us. The room he shows her takes her breath away. Large windows overlook the forest. A reading nook with cushions and blankets. Shelves already stocked with books. Wildflowers in a vase on the desk. Lucien. He stands in the doorway, too close and not close enough. His hand rests on the frame above her shoulder, and suddenly Naria is hyper-aware of how small the space between them has become. I should have done this years ago, he says quietly. Should have told you that you mattered, that you were seen. His voice goes lower when he says her name, rough and intimate. Naria's pulse jumps. He's so close she can see the flecks of gold in his gray eyes, the way his jaw tightens when he holds himself back. His hand lifts, brushing a strand of hair off her face. His fingers linger at her temple, thumb tracing the line of her cheekbone. You change everything, Naria. She should step back, should put distance between them. Instead, she leans into his touch, just slightly, and watches his eyes darken. The moment stretches, fragile, charged. Then footsteps echo in the hall and Lucien steps back, hand falling away, leaving Naria breathless and aching. Life in the Alpha residence is strange and wonderful and terrifying. Naria wakes to sunlight streaming through windows she never had to board against drafts. She eats breakfast at a long table with Oren chattering beside her, telling stories about his lessons and his friends. Lucien sits across from them, drinking coffee, occasionally smiling at his son in a way that makes Naria's chest tight. She helps Oren through nightmares. When he wakes screaming, she goes to him, sits on the edge of his bed, and tells him the stories her mother once told her. She rewrites the endings to be gentler, where the heroes don't die and the monsters learn to be kind. Lucien often appears in the doorway during these moments, watching silently. Once, after Oren falls back asleep, Lucien walks Naria back to her room. You're good with him. He's easy to love. Lucien stops outside her door. He hasn't smiled this much since Isolde died. Isolde Amarin, the late queen, Oren's mother, Lucien's mate, murdered 5 years ago by enemies who wanted to destabilize the pack. I'm sorry, Naria says softly, for your loss. I thought grief would kill me. Lucien's voice is distant. For a long time, I wanted it to. What changed? He looks at her. Really looks. You, the word hangs between them, heavy with meaning. Naria often can't sleep. Pain keeps her awake, or the ghost of arrows lodged in her back, or the memory of rain and blood. She wanders to the kitchen, or out to the balcony, tracing the scars on her ribs, her shoulder, her thigh. Lucien always finds her. Can't sleep? He asks one night, stepping onto the balcony beside her. Old habit. He leans against the railing, close enough that their arms almost touch. Want to talk about it? So they do. They talk about Isolde, and how loving her felt like breathing, and how losing her turned Lucien to stone. They talk about Naria's mother, and how she taught compassion as an act of rebellion. They talk about being tired of living half alive, of going through motions without feeling them. I forgot what it was like, Lucien admits, to want to wake up in the morning. What changed? He turns to face her fully. I started watching you. The way you move through the world like every moment matters. The way you care, even when no one's looking. You reminded me that feeling something, anything, is better than feeling nothing at all. His hand slides around her waist, ostensibly to steady her when she winces from a sharp pain, but he doesn't pull away after. His palm rests warm against her hip, thumb brushing the edge of her ribs. Does it still hurt? He asks, voice rough. Sometimes. He steps closer, chest nearly touching her back. Breathe with me. She does. Follows the rhythm of his breaths, slow and steady. His other hand comes up to rest on her shoulder, grounding her. His breath is warm at her ear. Better? Naria nods, not trusting her voice. Her heart races. Every nerve is alive and singing. She forces herself to focus on breathing, on the scars that still ache, on anything but the heat radiating from his body. When she finally turns to face him, his eyes are dark and wanting. His hands remain on her waist, holding her like she's something precious. Naraya. She doesn't know who moves first, but suddenly the space between them is gone, and his forehead rests against hers, and she can feel his heartbeat through his shirt. Then Oren calls from inside, asking for water, and the moment shatters. Lucien steps back, jaw tight. I should. Yeah. He leaves. Naraya stays on the balcony, shaking, wondering how much longer they can keep dancing around this. Visitors begin arriving. Other alphas, curious about the human heart shield. Ronan Vale comes first, friendly and genuinely interested. He asks Naraya about her mother, about healing practices, about how she's adjusting. Kaylin Reese is smoother, more political. He compliments her courage but watches her like she's a puzzle he hasn't solved yet. Nuria overhears whispers. Some elders think she's a liability. Others argue she represents a chance for change, a bridge between humans and wolves. Then the summons arrives. A regional gathering at Corspire, the mountain fortress where major alphas convene to discuss pack law and territorial disputes. All major alphas are expected to attend, and Naraya, as Heartshield of Varen, is named an honored delegate. The council chambers erupt. Some elders protest. A human at Corspire? It's unprecedented. Dangerous. She'll be a target. Lucien overrules them all. She goes. As my Heartshield and my representative. Anyone who has a problem with that can take it up with me directly. No one dares. That night, Naraya packs with shaking hands. She's terrified. Of heights. Of being judged. Of embarrassing Lucien in front of powerful alphas who already doubt her worth. Lucien finds her sitting on her bed, staring at half-packed bags. Talk to me. I'm going to mess this up. He sits beside her, close enough that their thighs touch. He takes her hands, thumbs rubbing soothing circles over her knuckles. You won't. You don't know that. I do. He lifts one of her hands, pressing it flat against his chest. She feels his heartbeat, strong and steady. You change the way I breathe when you walk into a room, Nuria. You've already changed me, changed Oren, changed this pack. You'll change them too. She looks up at him, eyes stinging. What if I can't? Then I'll stand beside you anyway. He leans in, just slightly. But you can. I know you can. The air between them thickens. His gaze drops to her mouth. She tilts up to meet him, breath-catching. The door flies open. Oren runs in, laughing, chased by Naira. Heartshield, can you oh? He stops, looking between them. Were you talking about grown-up stuff? Lucien clears his throat, pulling back. Just helping Naraya pack. Oren accepts this easily, launching into a story about a game he played. Naraya catches Lucien's eye across the room and sees frustration mirrored there. Soon, she thinks. Soon. The journey to Corspire takes 2 days. Carriages wind up, mountain roads carved into cliffs. Snow patches the higher elevations. Naraya watches the landscape shift from forest to stone, her nerves buzzing. Lucien sits beside her, his hand resting casually on her knee. It's comforting, possessive, very obvious. Oren sits across from them, nose pressed to the window, exclaiming over every waterfall and eagle. Look, Heartshield! Naraya smiles. I see it. Sweetheart. Lucien's thumb traces slow circles on her knee, distracting and grounding at once. When Oren isn't looking, he leans close. You're going to be brilliant. She wants to believe him. Corspire is carved into the mountain itself, a fortress of gray stone and sharp towers. Guards in ceremonial armor line the gates. Wolves in human form move with military precision, checking credentials, directing guests. The main hall is massive, vaulted ceilings, tapestries depicting ancient battles, a long table that could seat 50. Dinner that night is formal and uncomfortable. Alphas from across the region gather. Nikolai Drax, harsh and human skeptic. Ronan Vale, more balanced. Amara Wynn, Lyra Quinn, others whose names blur together. Nikolai doesn't hide his disdain. A human at this table. He doesn't phrase it as a question. Lucien, you test boundaries. Nuria earned her place. Lucien replies evenly. By getting lucky? By being in the right place? Naraya's stomach twists. She focuses on her plate, trying to disappear. Lucien's fingers lace with hers under the table, hidden from view. The touch steadies her. By making a choice, Lucien says. Something you might not understand. Nikolai's eyes narrow, but he doesn't push further. The next day, the formal council session begins. Alphas gather in a chamber ringed with stone benches. Naraya sits beside Lucien, acutely aware of every gaze on her. They discuss territory disputes, trade agreements, border security. Naraya stays quiet, listening, learning. Then Nikolai stands. I would like to address the matter of Lucien Draven's companion. The room goes silent. She is called Heartshield. Nikolai continues, voice dripping with skepticism. But she is human, breakable, a weakness, a target. You invite disaster, Lucien, by elevating her. Naraya's hands clench in her lap. She feels small, exposed. She's about to stay silent, to let Lucien defend her. When she remembers her mother's words, turned toward, she stands. Her legs shake, but she stands. You're right. Nikolai blinks, surprised. I am breakable. Naraya continues, voice gaining strength. I am a target. I don't have claws or fangs or strength that could tear a man apart. But I am also the one who threw myself between a pup and a nightmare. I am the one who took 5 arrows without flinching. I am the one who held a child while he screamed and told him he wasn't alone. She meets Nikolai's eyes. I was the shield for Varen. I'll be the shield again, for anyone who needs it, whether you honor me or not. Call me weak if it makes you feel strong. But when your children cry in the dark, when your pups face monsters, it's people like me who step in front of them. So yes, I'm a target. But I'm also the reason Oren Lyse is alive. The silence that follows is profound. Ronan Vale is the first to speak, voice warm with approval. Well said. Even Amara Wynn nods, grudging respect in her eyes. Nikolai sits back down, jaw tight. Lucien's hand finds hers again, squeezing gently. When she glances at him, the pride in his eyes makes her breath catch. That night, alarms shatter the peace. Nerea wakes to shouts and the clash of steel. Lucien is already moving, pulling on clothes, eyes sharp. Stay here. Lock the door. What's happening? Rogues breached the wards. He grabs her shoulders. Stay inside. Promise me. She nods. He shifts mid-run, the massive obsidian wolf exploding into the hallway, and disappears. Naraya locks the door. Her heart hammers. She paces, hands shaking, listening to the chaos outside. Screams, snarls, the wet sound of violence. Then she hears it. A child screaming in the hall. She freezes. Lucien told her to stay inside. But that scream, turned toward, Naraya grabs the silver dagger Lucien insisted she carry and unlocks the door. The hallway is chaos. Blood on the walls, broken furniture. A young Omega girl, maybe 8 years old, cornered by a rogue wolf with matted fur and wild eyes. Kala Riven, Nikolai's granddaughter. Naraya doesn't hesitate. She runs, throwing herself between the rogue and Kala. The rogue snarls, lunging. Naraya slashes with the silver dagger, catching it across the muzzle. It rears back, hissing, and then charges again. The impact knocks Naraya off her feet. She hits the stone floor hard, breath driven from her lungs. Pain explodes in her ribs, old wounds screaming. But she keeps her body between the rogue and the girl. The rogue raises a clawed paw. A massive obsidian wolf collides with it, slamming it into the wall. Lucien tears into the rogue with savage efficiency. Another alpha finishes off a second attacker down the hall. When the fighting stops, the silence is deafening. Lucien shifts back, half feral, and drops to his knees beside Naraya. His hands roam over her, checking for wounds, voice breaking. What were you thinking? I told you to stay inside. She was a child. Naraya struggles to sit up. I couldn't. You could have died. His hands shake as they cup her face. Do you understand? You could have died, and he can't finish. His forehead drops to hers, breath ragged. I can't lose you, Naraya. Don't you ever do that again. I can't. I don't know how to be anything else, she whispers. He pulls back just enough to meet her eyes. His are wet, desperate. Then I'll stand with you every time. His voice cracks. Because I love you. Naraya, I've loved you since the moment I saw you bleeding in the rain, and I don't know how to stop. Her breath catches. Lucien, I love you, he repeats, like the words have been trapped for too long. I love your courage and your compassion, and the way you turn toward fear like it's nothing. I love the way Oren lights up when you walk into a room. I love the way you see the world, like every moment is worth saving. I love you. Naraya's vision blurs. I love you too. The kiss is inevitable, desperate. His hands cradle her face, thumbs brushing away tears. Her fingers fist in his shirt, holding on like he's the only solid thing in the world. His mouth moves against hers, urgent and reverent, and she tastes relief and love and years of loneliness finally breaking apart. The kiss deepens, his tongue sliding against hers, drawing a soft sound from her throat. His hands shift to her waist, pulling her closer, and she goes willingly, pressing against him, needing the contact, the proof that they're both alive and together. When they finally break apart, both breathing hard, Lucien rests his forehead against hers. "Stay with me," he whispers. "Not just tonight, always." Yes. Healers arrive, interrupting the moment, insisting on checking them both, but Lucien doesn't let go of her hand. Dawn reveals the damage. Broken doors, bloodstains, injured wolves being tended, but no dead children. The truth emerges slowly. The rogues weren't random. They were hired, funded by extremists from within Nikolai's own pack. Their target was specific: Naraya. Killing the human heart shield in front of all the alphas would send a message. Humans must never sit at the table. But they failed. And in failing, they proved something else entirely. The child Naraya saved, Kala Riven, is Nikolai's granddaughter. Nikolai arrives at the healer's wing, looking older than his years. He stops in front of Naraya, jaw tight. "You saved her." "I did what anyone." "No." His voice cuts through her excuse. "Not anyone. You. A human who had every reason to stay safe. You threw yourself between my blood and death." He does something no one expects. He bows his head. "I was wrong about you. About what strength looks like. I have spent years believing humans were weak, that compassion was foolishness. You proved me wrong in the most brutal way possible." Naraya's throat closes. I couldn't let her be afraid alone." Nikolai meets her eyes. "Thank you. For my granddaughter's life." In the council chamber, the atmosphere has shifted. Alphas who were skeptical now look at Naraya with something like respect. Ronan Vale stands. "I propose formal change. A law allowing humans who prove themselves to hold honored positions within packs." Murmurs ripple through the room. "They already do," someone argues. "Healers, scribes. Not honored," Ronan counters. "Tolerated. I'm talking about recognition, protection, a voice." The debate is fierce. Some alphas resist change on principle. Others argue logistics. But again and again, they come back to the same point. Naraya Varek took 5 arrows for a pup that wasn't hers. Naraya Varek threw herself between a rogue and Nikolai's granddaughter. Naraya Varek is the living proof that courage isn't species-specific. Lucien speaks last, voice carrying authority that silences the room. "My heart shield rewrote what we believe about strength. She did it with her body and her blood. The question isn't whether we should change. It's whether we're brave enough to follow her lead." The vote is called. One by one, alphas raise their hands. Unanimous. The new law will be known as the Varek Accord. Humans who prove themselves in deed, not just blood, can hold honored positions in any pack. They will have protection, recognition, a voice. Naraya sits, stunned, as the chamber erupts in approval. Lucien squeezes her hand, leaning close. "This is your doing. Your courage. Your name. They'll remember you for generations." The journey home feels different, lighter. Naraya sits between Lucien and Oren in the carriage, their hands tangled together. They talk about the future. "I want to change how we teach pups," Lucien says. "Let you run classes for both human and wolf children." Naraya blinks. "You want me to teach? You're perfect for it. You see everyone as worthy. That's what the next generation needs." Oren bounces in his seat. "Can Heartshield teach me to read better?" "Of course." When Oren falls asleep against Naraya's lap, Lucien cups her face and kisses her slow and deep. His fingers trace the edge of her scars through her shirt, reverent rather than possessive. "I love you," he murmurs against her mouth. "I love you too." The pack greets their return with relief. Wolves who once barely acknowledged Naraya now press their foreheads to her hand in greeting. Children run up, asking if it's true she fought a rogue. Naraya is overwhelmed by the warmth, the acceptance, the feeling of finally belonging. That night, after Oren is tucked into bed, Lucien finds Naraya on the balcony. The storm that's been threatening all day finally breaks, rain drumming against the stone. "Reminds me of the night we met," she says softly. "The night you saved my son. The night you saved me." He steps behind her, arms sliding around her waist, pulling her back against his chest. His chin rests on her shoulder. "I'm terrified," she admits, "of all this, of being important." You were always important. Not like this. He turns her in his arms, hands framing her face. Do you trust me? Yes. Then believe me when I say you are more than enough. You're the reason I remember how to feel anything at all. He kisses her then, slow and thorough, hands sliding into her hair. She melts into him, letting the kiss deepen, letting herself feel wanted and cherished. They move inside. The room is warm, candlelight flickering. Lucienne closes the door behind them, and the world narrows to just this. Just them. Are you sure? He asks, voice rough. I'm sure. He kisses her again, hands mapping the curve of her spine, the dip of her waist. When his fingers trace over her scars, he does it with reverence, like each one is precious. These are beautiful, he murmurs. Proof of your courage. She shivers as his mouth follows the path of his fingers, pressing kisses to her shoulder, her ribs, the scar on her lower back. His touch is gentle and worshipful, and Nariah feels tears prick her eyes, because no one has ever made her feel this valued. You're shaking. It's just, I've never... He stills, pulling back to meet her eyes. We don't have to. I want to. She cups his face. I'm shaking because I feel safe. Because you make me feel like I matter. You do, more than anything. That night, he traces every scar with his lips, whispering promises against her skin. He teaches her that broken pieces aren't something to hide, but something to honor. They move together slowly, tenderly, two people finding home in each other. Later, wrapped in blankets, her head on his chest, Nariah listens to his heartbeat and thinks about how far she's come. From invisible to irreplaceable, from tolerated to loved. Thank you, she whispers. For what? For seeing me. His arms tighten around her. Always. 6 months pass like pages turning in a book. Varen changes. Humans serve openly in honored roles. Mixed training sessions teach young wolves and human children side by side. Nariah runs classes 3 times a week, teaching reading and history and compassion. The pups adore her. They cluster around her legs, asking questions, showing her their drawings. Some of them have started calling her Second Alpha, which makes Lucienne laugh and Nariah blush. Oren has grown more confident. His nightmares are rare now. He sleeps soundly, knowing Nariah is just down the hall, knowing his father is happy. Lucienne is different too. He smiles more, laughs at dinner, plays with Oren in the courtyard, chasing him in wolf form while the boy shrieks with delight. Nariah watches from the porch, heart full, and thinks about how one choice can rewrite everything. The pack holds a formal celebration to honor the Varric Accord. Alphas from neighboring territories attend. Humans who once lived on the edges of their packs now stand proud and recognized. In the great hall, under torches that cast golden light, Lucienne stands before the gathered crowd. Nariah stands beside him, dressed in Varen blue, feeling self-conscious under so many eyes. The Varric Accord represents more than law, Lucian says, voice carrying. It represents the courage to see worth in unexpected places, to honor deeds over bloodlines. My heart shield showed us that courage. She bled for it. She changed us. He turns to Nariah, taking her hand. Nariah Varric, I claim you as my mate. Not just politically, not just because you saved my son, but because I love you. Because you make me want to be better. Because I want to spend the rest of my life standing beside you. The crowd erupts in cheers. Nariah's vision blurs, overwhelmed. I love you too, she manages. He kisses her in front of everyone, and the celebration becomes a roar. Later, when the crowd has thinned, Nariah finds herself standing before a memorial stone. Isolde Marin's name is carved into granite, surrounded by flowers that pack members leave regularly. Lucienne joins her, silent for a moment. I never want to replace her, Nariah says quietly. You're not. He takes her hand. Isolde will always be part of me, the mother of my son, the woman I loved first. But loving you doesn't erase her. It expands my heart, makes room for both grief and hope. Nariah leans into him. Does it get easier? The grief? No, but it gets softer, especially when I have you to share it with. They stand together, honoring the past while stepping into the future. That night, Nariah sits on the porch of the Alpha residence, warm evening air brushing her skin. Oren is inside, drawing a picture of the 3 of them to hang in his room. Lucienne's hand rests over hers on her knee, comfortable and steady. She traces the faint lines of her scars absently, the ones that used to ache but now just remind her of how far she's come. Do you ever regret it? Lucienne asks. Regret what? taking those arrows. Naraya considers. No, I'd do it again. 1,000 times. Even knowing how much it would hurt? Especially knowing. She looks at him. Because it brought me here. To you. To Oren. To a home I never thought I'd have. He lifts her hand, pressing a kiss to her knuckles. You gave me back my life, Naraya. You gave me back my heart. You gave me a place to belong. They sit in comfortable silence, watching the forest darken as stars emerge. Somewhere inside, Oren laughs. The pack settles into evening routines. Life continues, messy and beautiful and real. Naraya Varric was invisible once, tolerated, kept on the edge of everything that mattered. Then she made one choice. One brutal, selfless, impossible choice. She threw herself over a pup in the rain. She took 5 arrows. She refused to let go. And in doing so, she tore open the emotional armor of a king. She changed laws. She rewrote what an entire world believed about strength and worth. She was breakable, a target, human in a world of fangs and claws. But she was also the shield. And somehow, in choosing to step in front of their monsters, she found a life she never dared to want. A king who loved her. A pup who called her family. A pack that believed a human heart could hold them all together. They still tell the story in Varen. About the girl who took 5 arrows for a prince. About how everything that came after left a kingdom in tears. And then, finally, in hope, Naraya's sacrifice didn't just save one life. It saved an entire way of thinking. It proved that courage has nothing to do with claws or fangs, and everything to do with choosing to turn toward fear when every instinct screams to run away. The Varric Accord stands as law now, reshaping how packs treat humans across the territories. Children grow up learning Naraya's name alongside the great warriors of old. Her scars became the blueprint for a new world. And in the Alpha residence of Varen, a human woman sits beside a wolf king, their hands intertwined, their son sleeping peacefully down the hall, and knows she is exactly where she belongs. If stories like this, where outcasts become legends and love rewrites all the rules are what you crave, make sure you're subscribed to Ariel Romance Library. Turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter, because every heart deserves a story where courage wins and love heals everything.